Next, Under the Lights.
We're going to state.
Are you ready? It's time.
Y'all see?
Eagles or Hawks? Which bird is the best hunter in Florida?
We coming. We coming.
A tropical park matinee featuring two of the best running backs in the state.
Hey, every play, give it your all. Let's go.
One more game closer to crowning the state champion.
Hey, you go. You go.
Hi, and welcome to Under the Lights, Florida High School Football Final, driven by Honda. I'm Dave Aizer, and she is Kailey Mizelle.
Thanks, Dave. The season is almost over. We only have a few weeks of high school football left in Florida, down to 32 teams in 8 classes, all battling it out in Final Four weekend, or as I like to call it, Black Friday.
You should totally trademark that. We start in the big boy class of 8A. There's nothing better than playing football on Thanksgiving weekend. Steinbrenner looking to continue its dream season versus Apopka, and Deerfield Beach taking on Columbus, who's lucky enough to punch their ticket to Daytona.
Steinbrenner wearing the glass slipper. This is the farthest the school has ever been in the playoffs. Apopka jumped on the Warriors early, scoring 14 points in the first couple of minutes. This touchdown in part thanks to Jaquan Lohman connecting with Jamari Jackson, 90 yards. And Dave, check out the man in stripes. I'm guessing by the look Jamari gave to when he crossed the goal line, he was surprised by his speed as well.
Dude can fly, and he blew the whistle without breaking stride.
Well, Steinbrenner getting on the board as well. Hayden Carlson to Dean Patterson, 86 yards on the slant, cuts the Apopka lead 21-7. The ref didn't have to go far that time. The Blue Darters' Lohman was too much to handle. He was responsible for 4 touchdowns on the night, 2 rushing, 1 passing, and 1 special teams. Apopka turns Steinbrenner into a pumpkin, 41-15.
We got 1 game left, and it's for everything. We got 2 weeks to prepare for it, 2 weeks to get healthy, and a lot of people go through a lifetime without having opportunities that these guys have had this year, so we're going to take advantage of it.
We mentioned Jaquan Lohman. Well, we didn't show you this one yet because we wanted to make it our Orlando Health kick return of the week. On the very first play of the game, Lohman fumbles the kickoff. No biggie. He just picks it up in stride and goes the distance. Watch it again. Mr. Lohman was Mr. Everything for Apopka. A sensational play worthy of our Orlando Health kick return of the week. Other side of the bracket, Deerfield Beach versus Columbus at Tropical Park. Both teams with elite running backs and wide receivers. Speaking of which, Columbus's Henry Parrish carves his way through some deer meat for the score. More Columbus, just because number 2 isn't in the backfield. Don't go sleeping on number 22, Vershot Quinn. He does the dirty work, gets it all the way down to the 1-yard line for number 2, of course, Henry Parrish. He scores again, and it's 14-0 Columbus. Now, this was a team effort. The Explorers D had a couple of goal line stands in the game doing their part, but Deerfield would score. Tulane commit Michael Pratt lost a pretty ball for DeJuan McDougal for the TD. Well, all that did was really make Columbus angry. Brandon McDuffie to Xavier Henderson hits him in stride, and Henderson is off to the races. Down the sideline, he goes untouched for the 95-yard score. The Bucks' Jalen Knighton, he's a star player, and he does star things. He answered with his 37-yard TD run, but it wasn't enough. Seabus wins 28-21, heads to the state championship game for the 5th time. Here's Coach David Dunn on his team's stellar defense.
In the second quarter, we couldn't move in an inch, and so we had our backs against the wall defensively the entire second quarter, and those guys came up with stop after stop after stop.
And with that, our first state championship is set. The game will be played the second weekend in December in Daytona. Apopka versus Columbus. Columbus played in last year's final, was beat by Mandarin.
Last week, Armwood shut down arguably the best running back in Florida and perhaps the country in DeMarcus Bowman. Now, the talk around the water cooler this week was, well, is Bowman the best in the state? Regardless of which side you take on the issue, one fact remained that 2 of Florida's best running backs faced each other in Tropical Park. To shine the spotlight on what these two did, we sent our South Florida digital reporter, Catherine Phillips, to get a closer look at the running backs.
Thanks, Dave. Well, it was a big-time matchup here today and a showcase of 2 of the state's top running backs in Deerfield Beach's Jalen Knighton and Columbus's Henry Parrish, who entered the game as the runaway rushing yards leader in Miami-Dade County with over 2,100. Now, there's been a lot of debate over who is the state's top running back, but for Columbus head coach Dave Dunn, well, he might be a little biased.
I'll let the film do the talking, but in my opinion, once again, best running back in the state.
Big-time players make big-time plays in big-time games. So that's all that matters. So I just got to come up for my team and just finish the job.
Jalen Knighton was limited in the game, working through a thigh contusion, but he did enough to become the second all-time leading rusher in Broward County history. Now, it was Columbus and Henry Parrish that came out on top, and while it may not have been Parrish's most explosive game, his 2 early touchdowns got a lead for the Explorers that they never let go of.
He goes, how many carries do you have? He goes, 25. I said, you need 30. So we took all 30. You took all 30. So it was a great job.
Well, head coach Dave Dunn said his team will have a few well-earned days off before they begin preparation for a state title game where they will try to avenge last year's loss. For Under the Lights, I'm Catherine Phillips.
To break down what went down in Class 8A and to size up the final, let's turn to the founder of FloridaHSFootball.com, Josh Wilson.
Okay, Josh, we know who drives the C bus in Columbus, but who does Apopka have?
Start with this 300 monster that they've got with the Blue Darters. Running back Jaquan Lohman leads the offense, but on defense, it's a 2-headed monster there with Jalen Carter leading the team in sacks and Josiah Robinson leading the team in tackles. Right there, all 3 of those guys are the ones that are making the name for Apopka, and that's why Apopka is headed back to state for the first time since 2014.
Okay, are those defensive guys good enough to slow down, if not stop, Henry Parrish?
Yes, they are good enough to do that, and that's where Columbus is going to have to game plan over the next 2 weeks to be ready for this defensive attack.
Switching gears and heading to the rural school class 1A, Baker versus Bluntstown. And we want to give Amanda McGee a shout out for getting us the highlights. Thank you, Amanda.
And it was a packed house ready for action as top-seeded Baker and Bluntstown got ready to duel in this semifinals. Baker's Joseph Brunson takes the pitch all the way up the middle, and the Gators get 7. Bluntstown responds with Logan Pumphrey finding Trevon Smith in the corner for the score. Bluntstown and Smith keep adding. Smith takes the handoff to the end zone, and the Tigers put away Baker 21-13.
And that sets up a dance with Madison County, who had a dogfight with Pahokee. Let's bring in Josh Wilson again. Josh, these small schools have so much school spirit. Bluntstown's having a whole week of Christmas/football pep rallies. You gotta love that, right?
Absolutely. You got to love it, especially when the small towns on Friday nights, they shut the entire town down. Everybody's at the football game. They're cheering on their favorite teams. This is what rural football is about in the Sunshine State.
Okay, Josh, Bluntstown and Madison County, give me the 2 biggest names to look out for in this matchup.
Trayvon Smith for Bluntstown, that's the biggest name you got to watch for Bluntstown, the leading rusher, and he's definitely Mr. Do-Everything for the Tigers. Madison County, Vizonta Allen, he is their Mr. Do-Everything, has been the last couple of years, and he definitely will either throw it through the air or he will run it on you, so you have to be watching out, especially for Allen, because he is definitely one of the biggest leaders for the Cowboys who's looking to go for a three-peat this weekend.
Thank you, Josh, and we'll see you again in a couple of minutes for more Nuggets.
And for more Black Friday action, keep it here.
Coming up, 2 and 3A action and the battle to play the best team in the state. Under the Lights is driven by Honda. Visit your local Honda dealer today. By Advent Health. Our goal is to help you feel whole. And by the Florida Lottery. It's your ticket. Claim it.
Welcome back to Florida High School Football Final Under the Lights.
6 more classes to get to, so let's get right back to it.
University Christian and Victory Christian Academy facing off in Class 2A state semi-action. Victory Christian Academy driving Cornelius Shaw takes the handoff and goes the distance. He had 241 yards in the game and reached the end zone twice. Then Jeremiah Bird sealed the game when he found Caleb Poe for the 41-yard touchdown. The Storm did away with University Christian 20-7.
Sefner Christian facing Champagnat Catholic on South Beach. Forget diving into the ocean. Check out Champagnat's QB Ryle Aguila diving into the end zone. Touchdown Lions. Sefner answers. Justin Stubbs takes the handoff, stretches the play outside, and scores to cut the deficit to 13-7. Late first half, Champagnat now trailing, but Calvin Montgomery goes up the middle, and the Lions reclaim the lead 20-14. Second half, after stopping Sefner on downs, Aguila hits Shaylon Walton and make it 30-21, and that would be the final, and Champagnat advances.
Victory Christian will take on Miami Champagnat Catholic in Tallahassee. Chaminade won the last meeting between the two teams in 2013. The final of that game, 14-7. Into Class 3A action, the Florida High Seminoles faced off against Lakeland Christian, and Clearwater Central Catholic faced a tough test in Chaminade Madonna. We tried to be everywhere, so we had our photog at the first half of the Victory Christian game, second half of this game. When we showed up, Florida High was already all over Lakeland Christian. FSU driving here, and Emmett Vickers strips the ball before FSU knows it. He's in the end zone. But Dave, you remember Willie Taggart Jr. for FSU, right?
Taggart. Yeah, rings a bell.
Yeah, well, Amari Harvey gets the ball from him, makes it to the corner for the score. Taggart and company trying to lead their team to the first state title game. He hands off to Alfred Menner. Both Menner and FSU run away with it, 42-10.
The Class 3A state finals are set. Florida High will take on Chaminade Madonna, who rolled Clearwater Central Catholic 28-7 behind Thad Franklin's 210 yards rushing. Let's turn it back over to the founder of FloridaHSFootball.com, Josh Wilson.
Okay, Josh, Florida High did a number on Lakeland Christian, but can they stop Chaminade Madonna?
That's a great question, Kaylee, and it's going to be tough because you got to be able to contain Thaddeus Franklin. If they don't contain Thaddeus Franklin and let them run all over them, the Seminoles are going to, lose in front of a home crowd, and this is their first state championship game. So, you definitely want to be able to game plan around Thaddeus Franklin. If you can contain Franklin, they will have a chance in this game.
Thank you, Josh, and we will see you again in the next block.
We're halfway home. Get your popcorn out.
Still to come, the Tampa versus South Florida area. Who comes out on top? And Eagles soar in Seffner. Under the Lights is driven by Honda. Visit your local Honda dealer today. By Vico Painting Contractors, a commercial painting company that delivers top quality work and excellent customer satisfaction. And by Orlando Health, a not-for-profit network of leading community hospitals.
Welcome back to Florida High School football Under the Lights.
Next up, Class 4A. As we take a look at the brackets, we see a matchup of number 1 seeds on one side and Lakewood versus Booker T. Washington on the other. Who's heading to the championship game?
Two top seed schools going at it, Cocoa and Bowles. Dave, one thing to know about Bowles, they know how to catch. Jeremiah Johnson to Gunnar Borey, who doesn't bore with the catch. And if you like that, here's an early Christmas present. Johnson deep. Davis Ellis makes the one-handed leaping grab in the fourth. Bowles was down 7-3 at the half and used those highlight reel plays and a fake punt to win 2014.
All right, Lakewood and Booker T. Washington squaring off in the other semi, and we start with defense. Booker T's Tori Morrison hits Ternard Summerall on the screen, but he gets blown up by Aubrey Chavons. Ouch. Undaunted, Morrison steps up in the pocket and fires downfield to Jacory Brooks. Great catch for the long completion. And then from there, Morrison, watch this playmaker right here, scrambles to his left, and he finds Brooks again, this time for the score. It's 7-0 Tornadoes. Then special teams did its part. Christopher Fowles blocks the punt. The ball rolls around and ultimately out of the end zone for a safety, and it's 9-0 Tornadoes. But here comes Lakewood off play action. Greg Spahn finds Artez Hooker for the score, and the Spartans are on the board, or are they? This one's coming back. An eligible receiver downfield. Yeesh. Lakewood's offense couldn't produce points, so the defense did. Aggressive tackling leads to this fumble scooped up by Samari Smith. He takes it to the house. The Spartans cut the deficit to 9-7, but Booker T did just enough on offense to keep control of the game. They win 9-7 and advance to the title game, thanks in large part to their defense.
Class 5A action brings a lot of excitement. Wakulla and Jones will test each other in a great game, and after Jesuit did a number to Lake Wales last week, we'll see if they have anything left for powerhouse Miami Northwestern. We start with Wakulla and Jones. Jones looking for their first ever state championship appearance. Avarius Sparrow flies past the defense for Jones and puts the Tigers up 7-3 with his 32-yard run to the end zone. But Sparrow was far from done. He had 3 touchdowns, finished the game with 219 yards. This 16-yard scamper puts the Tigers ahead 21-6. Jalen Warshamp and Wakulla challenged late. Warshamp passed to Jordan Bolden for the touchdown, then adds to himself when he runs it in on the conversion. Things go from good to worse for the Tigers. Robinson takes the kickoff and fumbles. War Eagles recover. Warshamp goes to the end zone where a jumping DeJuan Hughes beats the defender for the touchdown. Wakulla trying for the extra point to tie. And it's wide right. The Tigers survive for a date with the winner of Jesuit and Northwestern, winning 21-20.
Jesuit battling two-time defending state champion Northwestern. Tough start for the Bulls. A bobbled snap leads to a scoop and score by Todd Bowles Jr., 7-0 Jesuit. But Northwestern would get it going with 4 unanswered touchdowns in the second quarter, including this one by Sadiq Jackson. Then they go via the air. Teron Dickens puts a little loft under this one. It lands in the waiting arms of Khalil Brantley for the score, despite the DB's protest. Second half, Jesuit trying to battle back. Ricky Parks busts loose, and he's got speed to burn, and 60 yards later, it's going to be a touchdown. That made it 35-21 Northwestern, but that's as close as Jesuit would get. Dickens finds Romello Brinson. He's taken it 35 yards to the promised land, and everybody, let the celebration begin. Northwestern doubles up Jesuit 42-21, and they're moving on to the title game. This game brings us the Vico Play of the Week, one of the 4 second-half Northwestern TDs we didn't show you. Antoine Massey not only strips the ball, but he recovers it and takes it to the end zone and then just keeps on running. Check it out again and watch the Houdini-like pickpocketing by Massey. Quick hands, my friend. That is the Vico Play of the Week. The 5A finals are set. Northwestern looks to make it 3 state titles in a row, but Jones may be a team of destiny after that win, and they're going to have something to say about it. It's the end of the third quarter. Kaylee, tell them what that means.
That means hold them up. Fourth quarter action on the way.
One more game. Can Armwood finish what it started? The Florida Lottery Pick 4 Player of the Week is quarterback Xavier Williams from Palmetto High School. Xavier was 12 of 19 passing with 312 yards with 7 touchdowns to help his team advance to the state semifinals versus Central.
Time now for the Florida Lottery Pick 4 Player of the Week. 1 DB, 3 running backs this week. Choose your favorite by going on Twitter and using hashtag UTLFlorida.
And as we welcome you back, we have 2 classes left to cover, starting with 6A and the Final 4 matchups, pitting Escambia against Gaither and Palmetto against Miami Central.
And we start with Gaither taking on Escambia on the 3rd play of the game. Gaither's Tony Bartalo under pressure, intercepted by Tony Broadnax, who finds the end zone on the pick 6. Escambia keeps adding. Frank Peasant bangs it in, and the Gators take a 14-7 lead. Peasant doesn't stop there. With 13 seconds left in the first half, A.V. Smith scrambles, points to his guy, and Frank Peasant makes the play. Escambia wins 45-21.
1-seed Palmetto against 4-seed Miami Central at Harley Stadium in a great game. Central put up 348 yards rushing and 5 rushing touchdowns, including this gorgeous run by Amari Daniels, followed by this impressive scamper up the middle by K-John Owens. But while Central owned the ground game, Palmetto owned the air. Xavier Williams steps up in the pocket, throws on the run, and check out the effort by LaJonte Wester. My ball! Touchdown Tigers. And here is Williams again down the sideline to Sajel Hickson for the wide open score. Palmetto actually led 30-21 in the third quarter, but here comes Central's ground game. Another touchdown from Owens to cut into the lead, and then Daniels explodes on his way to the end zone. Central grabs the lead and wins 34-30.
And for our Advent Health interception of the week, we can't overlook Palmetto's Damian Hill, who makes the pick, then carries the egg. Check out how he's carrying the ball. That's some forearm strength, Dave. Hill goes the distance in our Advent Health interception of the week.
The 6A championship game should be a great one. Miami Central looks to win its 6th state title as the Rockets will face Escambia and its intimidating defense.
This is going to be a good matchup. We bring in now Josh Wilson from FloridaHSFootball.com. Josh, I know you're a Gator at heart, but it's going to be a tough test for Escambia to get past the Rockets.
Absolutely, because Escambia has not played anybody of Miami Central's caliber on the schedule this year. They haven't really traveled outside the Panhandle in any part of the season, and this is going to be a big test for them, considering the fact that Miami Central has got a lot of speed, and they, again, go back to the schedule. They have not faced anybody of Miami Central's caliber on the schedule with the speed they have on the field.
We saved the best for last. Armwood is on a high from beating Lakeland, but have they overlooked Edgewater? And St. Thomas's fate seems sealed, but Venice would have something to say about that. After Armwood knocked off last year's state champion Lakeland, they welcomed Edgewater to town. Cameron Ranson fires it 80 yards down the field to an open Charles Montgomery. Armwood on the board first, 7-0. After losing in the state semis last year, the Eagles ready for action. Isaiah Conley takes the handoff, fights for yards, and is rewarded with 7 points to tie the game. Hawks trying to take the lead on a field goal, but it's blocked, and the doctor is in the house. Eric Doctor returns the blocked field goal 91 yards to the house. This is the third week in a row the doctor's been on hand for Edgewater. Then we have more grown man running by Mr. Connolly, and Christian Leary gets in on the ground game as well. The Eagles up 21-7 at the half, but the Hawks fighting back. Or are they? Ransom throwing, and don't call the doctor this time. Edgewater's 280-pound defensive tackle Justin Hawkins gets the pick six to seal the game. The Hawks go down 38-27.
Venice and St. Thomas meeting for the fourth straight year in the Class 7A semis. Venice is a great rushing team, but St. Thomas was up for the challenge. Stephon Johnson meet Tyreek Sapp. The St. Thomas D was strong all night, and when you talk about the best receiver in the state, you have to mention Marcus Rosemy. He had 2 TDs called back due to penalties, but this one counted. 14-0 St. Thomas. Javante Royal says, I like that slant pattern. Let me see if I can score on one of those. Spoiler alert, he does. As for the guy throwing the ball, Zion Turner, have a day, sir. Turner keeps this one himself, rumbles up the middle, even fights off a tackle and finds the end zone. And it wouldn't be a St. Thomas highlight, Kailey, without a pick six from Jaden McBurrows. He had 2 interceptions on the night. He blocked a punt. St. Thomas looking like the #1 team in the state. They win 42-0 and hold Venice to just 58 yards on the night. So it is going to be Edgewater taking on St. Thomas for all the marbles Saturday in Daytona. Congrats to both schools for making it this far, and hats off to those programs that made it to Thanksgiving to play another day. All right, Josh, yet another dominant performance from St. Thomas, and they look great in all 3 phases.
They definitely dominated, but we have seen teams fall from greatness before. Is St. Thomas unstoppable?
They could be, especially with over 2,000 guys that have got Division I offers, but Edgewater does have the horses to compete. Keenan Mobley, the quarterback, is definitely a big guy to watch out for. And the Connolly brothers, who definitely are part of that offense as well, make up the 3-headed monster that makes up Edgewater's offense. And Cameron Duke will come in with a game plan. He knows how to do it, has done it, and he will be ready for St. Thomas Aquinas in a couple weeks.
All right, I love that, Josh. As always, a pleasure picking your brain, and we'll talk to you again next week, buddy. And if you want to read more from Josh, just go to his website, FloridaHSFootball.com.
Thank you so much for watching today. This has been Under the Lights Florida High School Football Final, driven by Honda.